What's up, everyone? We are heading towards the finale of this season of Bachelor in Paradise, but I realised for a show about couples, there should probably be a couple here. So without further ado, welcome to your Bachelor in Paradise breakdown. Alright gang, for the first time in TV Talks with Tom history, I am sharing the screen with my better half, Sam. Everyone welcome in on Sam. I can't believe we got this far into the season of Bachelor in Paradise, which is a show about love. And I didn't even think of putting the person I love on screen, so I thought we'd try something out this week and see how it goes. But welcome on in, Sam. And the episode started with Bailey's tongue down Jeremy's throat. What a way to open the episode. I know that while y'all haven't seen this yet, Sam has had some choice opinions on Jeremy and Bailey, to say the least, just the same as me. So I'm going to first throw it to Sam and just say, Sam, want to let the folks know what you think of old Jeremy and Bailey?
Oh, I just think it's a disaster waiting to happen. I just feel like they keep forcing something that doesn't really work. And you can tell every time somebody like clocks it a little bit, Bailey's like on the defense and she's like, I can't believe they would say that, because like she knows it's true. And I just don't think they're a good match at all.
I completely agree. And you said it was a disaster waiting to happen. I feel like the disaster has already happened. That's my take on that one. But yes, I do feel like Bailey definitely has. I would say she needs to go to her optician or eye doctor, as y'all Americans like to say, and realize that the way she views Jeremy isn't actually the truth, you know. And like you said, I feel like it's kind of built on something that doesn't really exist, and it's kind of gone in a direction where it feels like it's bound to fail, I guess. But also Bailey did say this episode that she felt like she does have some issues when it comes to control. I don't know if you want to talk about that a bit more, Sam.
Yeah, so when I saw this part, I was initially thinking that makes so much sense, because given from the first episode, her talking about how she wants to take selfies with a guy and stuff, like that is her number one priority, and curating like her Instagram feed and stuff. People like that really like need control, and they want to have a specific image of what they look like and what the relationship looks like. So that didn't surprise me in the slightest. It's been like that since the beginning. Yeah,
I completely agree that I've said that every single week. I do respect the fact, though, that she acknowledged it, you know, and she realized it. And you said that while we were watching. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I feel like that's a little bit of progress there. But a little bit of progress, I don't think, is enough when it comes to Bachelor in Paradise. You need a lot of progress. And with Jeremy and Bailey, I don't see much of it.
So the next segment, we start off, and it's the girls talking to Hannah, and it's the guys separately. And the contrast between those two conversations are really funny and shows a lot about each person and each of their relationship dynamics, especially with the guys. They just weren't even able to make any conversation, which makes a lot of sense if you compare it to their relationships. I feel like the guys in this show are super surface level. Not to say like some of the girls aren't, but like specifically the guys are mostly very surface level and don't really know how to make like an in-depth conversation.
I agree with that, and I will say as well, I think some of the girls are like that. I think a lot of these shows breed that kind of thing, where people don't actually have a lot in the tank, even though they say they do. And yeah, I feel like the guys, especially this season, I've talked time and time again about how I just feel like everything there is so like, oh yeah dude, oh my god dude, oh yeah, Mew here, Mew there we go, this is yeah, exactly that. And it feels like there isn't a lot of substance, so less of this and more of, I don't know what, this looks wrong, more substance. I don't know why I used two hands there. This is a couple show after all. This is a dating show.
I feel like if you have to go on a dating show to find love, I feel like 99% of the time it's because you can't find actual real love because you're so surface level with it. And that's why these shows have so many people that breed like very surface level relationships, because that's the only people they can probably get on the show.
Yeah, I agree, and it's kind of sad to watch in a weird way, but it makes it all the more special when people do actually find love, because you find yourself for the majority of a season, watching these people and think, wow, this is so surface level, this isn't going to last, this is a disaster waiting to happen, this is a disaster that's already happened. But then when you actually find the actual love, it makes it all the more sweeter. So I'm just hoping as we go into these next couple of weeks that, or the next couple, this is the second last, but next week's finale, of course, where the winner's going to be crowned, I really just hope it's, an actual, really strong, genuine love. Because I've got to say, I think of these contestants that are left now, because we're going to talk about it a bit more soon, but of course at the end of the night we saw Jonathan and Leah were shown the door and they left at the rose ceremony. Of course they didn't really have a love connection there. They were playing the game, but we're massive Big Brother fans, we're massive Survivor fans, so even though those two have had a rough patch with one another, we've been big fans of watching two people come together to try and game. We're huge fans of strategy and, the social dynamics of manoeuvring their way through the game. So that was cool to see. But of course, their journey came to an end. And with the ones that are left, I would say it's about half and half with actual friendships, love. And, it doesn't feel necessarily like all these couples are actually in it for the long haul. And that's a bit disheartening to see. But I even want to say Keith and Kathy, even though it's a friendship, that's still love. And I wouldn't, it call me crazy, but I would not be against those old timers winning the show. I know they're not exactly going to get married, but I think love can come in many shapes and forms, and it doesn't have to necessarily just be romantic. It can be a friendship, and I think that's what Keith and Kathy have.
Yeah, they're really sweet. I love watching them. I really like the Goldens. Like, if I could watch a show, Bachelor in Paradise, with just the Goldens, it would be incredible. I've been really sad that they've been voting all of them out. Gary and...
Loved Gary.
Yes.
Loved
Gary
Gary.
And Leslie, they had a genuine love.
Yeah.
And if they had made it to the end, I would have been really happy if they won. But we're kind of left with Spencer and Jess and Alex and Andrew. I think those are the only couples that are like...
Yeah, and even then, I feel like Spencer and Jess was a little bit touch and go this week for the first time, the entire season, We're the old married broads at this point. We've only been married for less than half a year, but we're the old couple. I don't know. I feel like we sit there and commentate on the whole thing as if we're pros at the thing. We probably shouldn't, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes love doesn't have to be so freaking complicated. I think that's what me and Sam always find ourselves saying when we watch this show and we watch all the intricacies of it and see how selfish these people can be sometimes and full of themselves. It's just one of those things where we kind of go, it doesn't have to be like that, right?
No, it doesn't. I think a lot of times couples, they tend to make it a little more complicated than it needs to be. And if you really truly love each other and have a really strong foundation and friendship, it doesn't need to be hard.
It doesn't. I think when you find that person that you really mesh with, sure, you've got to fight for love and you've got to nurture it and fan the flames, but it doesn't have to be a tricky thing if you've got good communication and you can work out together. But enough of this. Communication is key. Now, tonight's first challenge saw everybody heading out to a glamp site. We could call it a glamp site, but there was horse shit everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's quite glamping.
It's like half glamping, half shitting.
Here's my verdict. If shit's involved, it ain't glamping. But point is, they had to go out and pitch a tent together, and there was going to be a therapist watching over what was going on as they tried to put the tent together, and they were trying to figure out which couple has the best communication. It's me and Sam. Spoiler. But I'm joking. But yes, they all went to work and there was so many bugs. There was so much shit. There was more bugs and there was more shit. And
more bugs and more shit.
Yeah, point is there was a lot of bugs and there was a lot of shit. And they had to put this tent together and the therapists were keeping an eye on their communication and how they figured out when each of them would, have a tough situation. Maybe one of them starts screaming with the bugs or one of them, doesn't want to sit in this chair. And Kat kind of stole the show with this one because she was freaking out over the bugs.
Yeah, she was having a full mental breakdown, and I kind of felt for her a little bit because she just seemed really distressed. And Dale really wasn't doing a lot to help her. So that was a bit sad.
It's odd though, because I think the therapist thought otherwise with that one, which we were in disbelief with. Maybe we're not as much pros as we thought we were, but we were looking at this thing and thinking Dale is just kind of stood there, not saying anything to Kat and saying, you need to just breathe and calm down. And it's like, I feel like Kat needed more than that in the situation. And while at the end of the task they said that, Dale managed to calm her down and Kat was grateful for him, I kind of felt like she self-soothed herself and then she said that Dale helped. And again, that's just what I was saying. Again, I'm not the therapist. The therapist said they did great, but I don't think I'm going to deviate from my opinion on that one. I really felt like I was watching her have a meltdown, and then she got to rock bottom, eventually calmed down, and then was like, I love you so much, Dale. You did that for me. You did everything. I'm so proud of you. You helped me calm down. And I'm like, he did what now? Are we watching the same show?
Yeah, I mean, something that really stuck out was the therapist. I can't even... The therapist was saying, it's really interesting how Kat's in distress. And Dale is like, it's okay, just like sit down, chill out. And yet Kat is still wanting to do something for him, like, oh, I'll open the bottle of wine. That was something that the therapist like really honed in on, the fact that she felt like she still had to do something for him, even though she was in distress. And like, I just don't get how the therapist thought that was the best relationship, honestly, because that was a red flag there of how Kat feels in the relationship.
Yeah, it definitely was, and the therapist said it for a reason, definitely brought it up to stir something up. Of course, this is a TV show at the end of the day, but I came away from that one thinking that if that is your therapist, folks, I'd be asking for the money back. Jokes aside, though, I do think the therapist actually did clock quite a lot of their relationships. I said that she wasn't good, but she really was. I really felt like, apart from Dale and Kat, I felt like she completely hit the nail on the head for the rest of them. And I'm just going to talk through some of the things she said for each of the couples. So first of all, she talked about Leah and Jonathan. She completely clocked them into next week by saying that they could be a great couple if Jonathan was actually interested. And not only that, I think she was also emphasizing the fact that Leah, I feel like, still might have feelings for Jonathan, or at least really wants love. And it feels like a half-sided thing.
Yeah, it's a little sad. I think Leah still has little hope that maybe her and Jonathan could maybe figure something out, and Jonathan's just like, nope, friends.
See,
friends.
I don't think it's even necessarily Jonathan. I feel like Leah just wants a relationship.
Yeah.
Real bad.
No, that's true.
I don't think it has to be Jonathan.
Yeah, but I do think she is attracted to him.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she definitely had some feelings there because she was upset, obviously, when everything went down there, but to me, I feel like some of these people in there aren't necessarily seeing the person in front of them. I feel like they've idealized a certain thing they want in their mind. Look at me getting all therapist. I'm not a professional, folks. Don't take my advice. But I don't know. I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking the way some of these people make out as if their partner is the perfect, most ideal thing in the world. It doesn't seem like that's the case. It feels like maybe it's that honeymoon period, essentially. 18 days. That's all that's happened so far.
I was shocked when I was watching the episode. I haven't been keeping track of like the days or anything, but I thought like weeks, maybe even a couple months went by. I was like, I thought they were together for so long, the way that like some of these people were talking about like how intense and like in love they all are.
Not even 3 weeks.
Not even 3 weeks.
Insane.
Crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, it's true when you put it in perspective like that, because obviously we've all been watching it, for the past over 2 months. So naturally it feels like it's been kind of a slow burner that's going on over time. But wow, yeah, I don't know. Some of these things, I don't know. But yeah, like going back to what I said, I just want to emphasize, I do feel like a lot of people in Paradise this time around, I don't know what it's like in the previous seasons because we haven't seen any of the other ones. Maybe we'll go back and watch them at some point. But it seems like some of these people want to find love and the person in front of them isn't necessarily enough, but they make themselves feel like that to make themselves feel better.
So we soon find out that the therapist chooses Kat and Dale.
I choose the right to remain silent. I I'm in absolute disbelief. I believe we should storm ABC and go and complain to the manager. I'm gonna go full Karen and say this ain't right. I am, and you're wrong. I don't know. I couldn't believe it. But well done on getting immunity. You deserve that so much. It's really killing me saying this, and I'm trying to put a smile on my face. I'll tell you what, my guy Wells, I believe that's his name. He's the guy behind the bar, right? We're on the same wavelength, me and Wells. I would love to do Wells' job. I feel like I do a good job, serving people the drinks and getting all the tea on what's going on. I would, so if Wells decides to retire, hit me up, ABC. But yeah, he straight up was in disbelief when somebody said to him later, "Oh, by the way, the ones to win were Cat and Dale." He was like, "What? No." I was on the exact same wavelength. Now, a sadder moment that came this episode. You just turned your face from smile to sad there. A sadder moment that came this episode was between Spencer and Jess. They actually had a conversation that I didn't expect. I don't think you did either. We've been kind of championing them the whole time because they kind of seem like the old married broads, that have been around the block, and it kind of felt like we saw the first crack this week between them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they must have been in like such a big honeymoon phase, and like they probably didn't want to talk about many of like the life after things because they were so happy. But now that it's closer to the end, they have to really think about that stuff. Yeah. And that's maybe why they've been like so happy is maybe they just didn't talk about that kind of stuff before, because it seems like this is kind of a surprise to both of them.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I've been kind of really enjoying them the whole time, and it felt like they had the whole thing figured out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just it was sad to see that moment, and I was kind of in shock. But yeah, I agree with what my wonderful spouse next to me said. I just think it was one of those cases where maybe they've been in the honeymoon phase, and this is the first tough conversation they've had to have. They talked about how is Jess ready to actually move states, because they kind of dipped their toe in the water last week with that one, and they were having that moment saying, I'm falling in love. They didn't say I love you, I'm falling in love with you. And Spencer, straight up says, I love you. How that we find out in a confessional that he says he's in love, and he totally loves Jess, and he's been in love with her for a while. Reminder, 18 days. But yeah, love is love, and it can happen quickly. And I do think Spencer is dedicated to Jess. I have always, and I want to know your opinion on this, Sam, but the whole time, even though I felt they are strong, I felt like if there was going to be a hiccup in the relationship, it would probably be from Jess. Yes.
No, I completely agree. I felt like Spencer just seems like a really stand-up guy, and like
I like him a lot.
Yeah. And we got that impression from the very beginning. That first episode though with Jess, that sent red flags up for sure.
Right.
But then after that, they seemed to be like doing really well. So I didn't really think about it too much, but yeah, it was definitely going to be Jess if it was anyone that there was going to be a bit of an issue with.
And I think that kind of came out again this time. But again, it's one of those things where we got to look at from Jess's perspective as well. And from Jess's perspective, she sees somebody who's moving pretty fast. And again, reminder, this is 18 days. And when we realised that, we were like, oh, maybe we do see Jess's side. I think we're rooting for them both so hard. And that's why it's like we want it to work. And I feel like there's things on both sides that need a little bit of work.
Definitely.
To link up, I think.
Yeah, I think we were thinking at first, both of us, we were like, oh, like that kind of sucks for Spencer, because I don't know, I feel like you go on this show to find love.
Yeah.
And like a forever thing, but
I think it would be wrong if you went in without that mindset.
Exactly.
Like that's what everyone's there for. And love's a big thing. You're putting your feelings on the line. That's a scary thing to do. And I think what you just said there, I think I feel like Spencer did the right thing in doing that. He's been all in, but like is all in sometimes too much for somebody.
And when I started thinking about how many days they've been into this, I kind of understood Jess's perspective a little more, because yeah, she may be coming in looking for love, and maybe she's found it in Spencer, but I think it's going faster than she's expected.
Yeah.
Which that's also fair.
It's true. He brought up the conversation of having kids, which is obviously a big conversation to have. Not only that he wants kids, but he wants them in the next 2 years. And then also he wants Jess to move from her state to his, and all of a sudden you start seeing that and going, kids, state, yes, it's a beautiful thing that Spencer wants, of course, but it's a lot to ask somebody. It's a big thing, and obviously after 18 days, that might be a bit of a tough decision to make.
Yeah, definitely, because I mean, after 18 days, you can really connect with someone for sure. I mean, we connected really quickly, and like, I knew you were it for me, but you know, we still had to get to know each other more and know about those deep things before, like, we took any big plunges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and 18 days. It's one of those things where I'm putting myself in those shoes, and I'm thinking, I mean, we were into each other a lot, and I feel like both of us knew very, very quickly that this was, going to be something that would last a very long time. But again, it feels like we didn't have those serious things where it's like, okay, 18 days in, we're totally into each other, but also I want kids in the next 2 years.
No, not after 18 days.
Right, it's a completely different discussion. But I feel like there's a more natural progression there, and maybe these shows accelerate it more than the average, in life experience. Of course it does. I'm not even saying might. I'm throwing might out the equation. These shows breed that. They make it so everything that would usually happen over a space of 6 months or a year happen in 18 days. It's a lot. But like Sam said, I'm definitely of the persuasion that that Spencer's heart was in the right place. But I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, that's where I'm going to end it. It's a lot. Now, while Jess did say in a confessional that she is not sure if she is in love with Spencer yet, that was again a big red flag as to where this relationship might be going. All of a sudden, I'm thinking it might not last. But on the other hand of things, we do have a couple who did confess their love for one another, Andrew and Alex. They have been growers as the week has gone on. Very they've got that childlike wonder in their relationship, and I think a lot of the people in this paradise view that as a bad thing in a weird way, or like, the silly, or I think that's a superpower in a relationship, and it's not to say, they're more immature because they act more childlike. I feel like it actually boosts the relationship into being more real and authentic if they're able to be about with that childlike wonder. I like Andrew and Alex a lot, and I want to know your opinion, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like a lot of these couples, again, it's like very surface level, and I feel like a lot of them have a specific idea of what a relationship should be. Like, you watch it on TV shows and movies, like all that stuff, and I feel like a lot of people kind of are more serious. And I feel like the couples that last and have a really good friendship can crack jokes with each other and like be silly with each other, because it shows safety with one another. Yeah. And like complete trust to be silly with someone.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree. You smashed that. I couldn't have put that better myself. I know that was really well said. Yeah. A lot of these couples, like Sam said, I feel like have an idea of what a relationship should be like. But if you notice something this season, the most genuine relationships, or connections at least, have came through the kind of organicness of humor and laughter and being able to be yourself. I feel like that's why Spencer and Jess worked so well for a while. It's why Keith and Kathy have a beautiful friendship, because they're always joking and, wink, wink, nudge, nudge at each other. And thank you, Sam, right back at you. And also Andrew and Alex, they, I think, are a lot more I don't want to say childlike, because, I mean, childlike isn't necessarily a bad thing to say, It's just I feel like they've got this sense of wonder still. And I've talked about how Alex, I think she's been a gem since the start. I think in the week with the whole Jeremy, Brian, Bailey situation, I mean, Alex didn't come across too great in that week, but besides that, she's a gem, and I've been the whole time wondering which guy is going to be able to fill those boots for Alex, because when I was looking at Brian and when I was looking at Dale and all these people, I'm thinking like, gee, she needs someone way more authentic and better, and actually somebody who's able to, as we say in Britain, have a laugh. Have
a laugh.
Yeah, we want to have a laugh. And
good banter.
Thank you. Yeah. good banter. I'm going to try and do it. Banter. You make it sound way more obnoxious.
Good banter.
It's good. We could go the American route. Good
banter.
Good banter.
Good banter.
You need to have some great banter with your partner. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Enough of the accent tennis. Let's behave for a second. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. You need to be able to do a bit of this and have a laugh with each other. And I like the fact that Andrew and Alex have that. I think that's a superpower and a massive green flag and a sign for good things to come. I don't know if they're going to last forever, but it definitely seems like one of the most healthy and authentic relationships in Paradise this year.
I mean, how many relationships have lasted from Bachelor?
I probably don't want to know the amount because it's probably so low.
It's lower than Big Brother couples.
Of course it is. I mean, I know that's the case with Love Island. You know, I always make that comparison. I love the fact that Big Brother has made more couples than actual love shows. But again, it's testament to what we're talking about. I feel like when you're in a more authentic environment for those feelings to develop naturally through humor and, you know, friendship and bonds, that's when the more organic friendships and relationships come. Because, you know, in Bachelor in Paradise, like we just talked about, the best and most organic relationships that we've had this season have been through the ones that have really good friendships to start with and able to laugh with each other. And that's why I'm singling out Andrew and Alex, Keith and Kathy. Just like on Big Brother, these ones develop more naturally.
Right. And I also feel like dating shows, I feel like there's probably a pressure from all the contestants to find somebody.
Yeah.
And that just kind of breeds like a more surface level. Again, I've said that earlier, but it's true. Like, it's more surface level, and it's like that pressure of just finding somebody, not finding someone you like.
Yeah.
You know, and whereas in somewhere like Big Brother, you're not meant to be on there for love. And then if you
although some contestants would think they are, where they can get evicted, they can be shown the door.
They come in for a showman's, but the whole premise of the show is not for love.
Yes.
So I feel like it does breed a little more authentic relationships. I mean, not to say that every Big Brother showman's is authentic, but
oh yeah, especially with a certain showman's this season, Riley and Kat. Yeah, but we're not here to talk about them. Yeah. Thank God. As always with Bachelor in Paradise, all roads lead to the rose ceremony. And this week, two names were kind of being thrown around as the one that would be voted to not have a rose. This week it was the guys. One guy would not receive a rose. And it came down really to Keith and Kathy being in the discussion, and Jonathan and Leah were the other ones. And, you know, with Jonathan and Leah, they are obviously platonic, at least one-sided platonic, and they want to try and win the money together. And then you got Keith and Kathy, who aren't in a relationship, but are definitely in a loving friendship. So the rest of the gang, I guess, not ganged up, but what's another word for it? You know, it feels like they did gang up a little bit, but that's the nature of these social games. You have to kind of band together to get that out. And I think they wanted to get rid of somebody who, you know, isn't necessarily going to get an actual shot at relationship love. But again, I keep going back to the fact that I feel like what Keith and Kathy has is still stronger and more beautiful than what some of these actual, you know, people like Dale and Kat. Did I say that out loud? Yeah. Did someone say Dale and Kat? I didn't.
Yeah, I thought I heard that.
Sorry, maybe I got to get that checked out. I don't know. But yeah, I was not surprised that it came down to those two names. And Keith had a moment where he had a bit of a sad breakdown, and he talked to Kathy about how he misses his daughters back home a lot, and it's been very, very difficult for him. And he's also struggled, I think, with the fact that he's watching these people who are looking for love, and I don't think he feels like he belongs there because he feels like he's robbing those people of a spot. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm still of the belief that if you have that good organic thing with somebody, it doesn't necessarily have to be... I know this is Bachelor in Paradise, but I think that friendship love from those two is, like I said, way stronger than some of these actual relationships. And at least me, I would not be sad if they won. Like, I know it's probably not going to happen, and it's a long shot, but I really would like that. But, you know, Keith, enough of me. I'm like, I feel like I need a Keith and Kathy Stan shirt, or they are... mother and father. I like them a hell of a lot, and they're just great to watch. But yeah, Keith was missing his daughters, and he even pulled some of the younger ladies aside and was saying, I don't know what to do. And they kind of gave him a pep talk, and they love being around him. They love being around Keith, and they were saying he's a girl dad, so of course he was great around those three younger ladies, and they gave him a wonderful pep talk. And it was so nice to see the younger and older generation come together there, and they were saying, you've got this, Keith. We love you here, and we don't want you to go. But if you do decide you want to go, we're going to support you. And that was a nice thing to see, to see no matter what they do. But I love that they actually pushed for him to stay. It's a shame though, because half of them ended up voting him, even though they said that. So I'm kind of in a bit of a shock there. But yeah, let's talk about the rose ceremony, Sam, because Dale, of course, was first. He picked Kat. Dale and Kat live another week.
I feel like all those weeks ago when Kat was trying to decide if she even wanted to keep Dale that week, where it was, she was just, they got in a big fight, and it just kind of showed Dale's colors, and I feel like she should have gotten rid of him back then, because they've just been stuck in like this toxic relationship, and they're just trying so hard, again, to make force a relationship that doesn't really work. Like, just like Jeremy and Bailey. They're just trying to force something that doesn't work just because they want a relationship. And that's it.
We need a separate podcast just to be dunking on Kat and Dale the entire time. I feel like that's not...
Kat and Dale haters.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't hate them per se. I despise them. No, I'm joking. I like Kat more than I like Dale, but I also wouldn't trust Kat as far as I could throw her. But yeah, I don't know. I liked Kat for the first half of the season, but I feel like her true colours were shown in the past couple of weeks. But Dale, I had him figured out since the start, or at least maybe from week 2. I don't trust the guy, and I don't think he's very nice to people, and I feel like he looks out for one person, and it's not Kat. That's kind of how I feel about that one. But yes, anyway, next up, Andrew picked Alex, so they live for another week. I think we're very happy about that one. Yeah, they're
sweet.
Yeah, and they're on the same wavelength, just like us apparently, so that's pretty good. Spencer, of course, picked Jess, so even though there was a little bit of trouble in paradise this week, they're going to try and figure it out. But I don't know where the finale is going to lead them. I feel like this revelation this week came out of nowhere. I feel like there might be more revelations next week. Could you see a surprise bombshell with Spencer and Jess in the finale?
I feel like Jess is starting to feel a little nervous or maybe trapped. I don't know. Like, I feel like she's not fully ready for a big commitment in the same way that Spencer is. I feel like she wants to take it a little slower. So I feel like after this, they're definitely gonna clash, and I feel like maybe Spencer might get impatient, and maybe Jess will just like feel really overwhelmed and suffocated. I feel like that's might be the road that they go down, unless they can find a middle ground.
Makes me sad.
I know, they seemed really good.
Yeah, and I think what you just said, I didn't even think that far ahead, but I feel like what you just said there, I'm like, damn, it feels like almost like a spoiler for next week. I don't know if it's definitely going to happen, but I think what you said there is very likely where this could head.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't happen in the finale, after the show, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like throughout this show, I'm always thinking about how their relationship would be outside of the show.
That's a big thing.
That's always on my mind.
That's definitely a big thing.
And I feel like in the real world, most of these couples would not last very long after, or they might just end up being in a really loveless, toxic marriage.
Damn. Hey, I'm glad I invited Sam on the pod this week. Look at those harsh takes. That was like venom. Then Jeremy, of course, got a rose next. He picked Bailey. Shocker. Not. Again, that one I don't see lasting. Hey, why don't we play a game for a second? Let's go through those relationships, and then after 3, we're going to say yes or no on if we think they are going to last for the long haul. All right?
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. So Dale and Kat, after 3. So yes if you think they're going to last, no if you don't think they are. All right, okay. 1, 2, 3. No. Okay. I think that was clear as day. Yeah. Andrew and Alex. 1, 2, 3. Maybe. We both deviated there, didn't we? Spencer and Jess. 1, 2, 3. No. And then Jeremy and Bailey. I don't even need to do a countdown. No. Yeah, that
So
was...
it looks like none of them are making it.
That's really sad.
I mean, that's kind of the reality of these shows.
Yeah?
Like, most of these couples don't last on these dating shows.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I saw on, I don't know if it was Instagram, Facebook, one of the social media platforms. I sounded like I was ancient in the way that I said
one
that.
of the social media platforms.
One of those doohickeys.
The Facebook.
The Facebook. I logged on to the Facebook. Or was it the Instabook? Facegram?
Facegram,
I logged on to Facegram last
Yeah.
night, and I saw... I saw the fact that Captain Kim and Faith, even though they were voted out weeks ago, they've like introduced each other to their families, and I,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's so sweet.
and I thought that was a really lovely thing, because even though they didn't last, it seems like something has lasted outside of Paradise, and it's, even though we just talked about that depressing factor of those 4 there,
The Goldens.
the
Like,
Goldens. You know, I know you were talking about how you want to watch a show with just the Goldens. It's almost like the Golden Bachelor exists. But we'll see that one, because that one's coming up soon as well, folks.
Yeah.
So let us know if you want us to cover that one when that one comes out. But yeah, lovely to see Captain Kim and Faith actually spending some time together with each other's families outside of, I want to say the game, but Paradise. But yeah, the depressing factor of those 4 left. But then it came down to Keith and Jonathan in the vote. And for the first time this season, there was a tie vote. A tie this evening on Bachelor in Paradise saw Dale cast the tiebreaker. He had to basically decide between Jonathan and Keith who got a rose and who didn't. And due to his tumultuous relationship with Jonathan in the previous weeks and how he feels that she was, trying to get all over Kat, he decided to give the rose to Keith, meaning that Jonathan and Leah left Paradise tonight and Keith and Kathy live another week. Oh, after that depressing list of 4, isn't it nice that Keith and Kathy are there? Even though it's not a passionate, romantic love, there's still love there.
Yeah.
Probably more love than some of these couples have. After Jonathan and Leah left, they wasted no time in getting to the next task, and we found out that going into finale night, 2 people are not going to get roses. 2 of the women are not going to get roses, and that's going to bring us down to the final 3. We really have come a long way from all those people in Paradise, and there was a task where they had to, there was dolls all across the beach, almost like, bigger voodoo dolls, and they would be asked questions, like, let me think of one of them. It was something like, who is most likely to let their codependency get in the way of a relationship, or who is most likely to cheat, and then without everyone looking, they all took an actual big knife. That's dangerous on a show like this. I'm telling you, there's a lot of feelings involved. They took knives and stabbed it into the back of these dummies or dolls, depending on who they thought fitted the question. I felt like this one was really gonna show which couple was the strongest, right? Because all these questions were negative. And it was one of those things where if you got more knives, then it means that you were more applicable to the questions that were answered, right? So that's more negativity in the relationship. So then the one that would win, of course, would have those least negative attributes. And the ones that ended up winning were Andrew and Alex. Did that come as a surprise to you,
No.
Sam? It didn't?
No.
Not at all?
It didn't. I mean, I thought maybe Keith and Kathy or Spencer and Jess.
Yeah, I thought Keith and Kathy for a second.
Keith and Kathy. Because they were actually, like, pretty high at the top at first, but then near the end I felt like a lot of people were stabbing Keith in the back. But I'm not too surprised by that, because I feel like Alex and Andrew are more positive, and they might be perceived as more positive to the rest of them too. So I feel like that average.
Yeah, I am literally feeling, as we're talking this through right now, I'm starting to jump on the Andrew and Alex train.
I know, me too. Like at the start, before we started this video, I was like, they're all right.
They're sweet,
They're sweet.
But I feel like I'm riding for them now.
I know. The more I talk through it,
more than Spencer and Jess, because of that hiccup, which is makes me sad. I don't have any pleasure in saying that, because both of us were rooting for them, very hard. But yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to jump on the Andrew and Alex train. I think.
I don't know what that therapist was talking about when she said they didn't have any like attraction or chemistry.
Yes, that was one of the things. They said that they don't have that kind of raw, and because they countered back and asked, and they said, you just don't seem like you want to jump on each other and have sex right now. And like, I don't know. I feel like they're both into each other. I feel like it's more of maybe a slow burner, but yeah, I feel like I felt like there was chemistry between the two.
Definitely. And also they weren't together from the beginning. Like, you have to remember that is that they didn't get together till like probably halfway through, right?
Right. And again, 18 days. So maybe, I don't know exactly which day Andrew came in. I can't remember, but
let's say 9 days.
Okay, let's say 9. I don't think they've been together more than 2 weeks. Put it that way. So that's very little amount of time. But I'm sure if the cameras weren't there, I'm sure they would want a little bit of action. Yeah.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, exactly. Turn the Marvin Gaye on and get to it.
When they were confessing their love for each other, Andrew couldn't stand up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something, right? Because they actually confessed their love to each other. Then Alex walked back to go to the bar and she said, "Are you coming?" Andrew couldn't stand up. I also think it was so sweet how Alex was ending up laughing her ass off at that. So with Andrew and Alex winning that task, they have secured themselves a spot in the final 3. So well done to them. I feel like that's very deserved, and I'm glad to see of all the ones that are left, they've got a spot there. That makes me happy. But of course, 2 have to go. Let's do some predictions. Sam, who do you think are going to be the next 2 couples to leave Paradise and not make the final 3?
That's hard.
So was Andrew. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here all week.
So at first, I felt like Jeremy and Bailey could be in danger. I think they still are to an extent, but Alex and Andrew, Jeremy and Bailey, they seem like they're working together. And then Dale and Kat and Spencer and Jess are working together. So that just leaves Keith and Kathy. So Keith and Kathy are in the middle there, and they've already decided they're going to vote themselves out. So that's one couple down. But they were also discussing the fact that they wanted to get Kat and Dale out. So they hold all the power even though they're leaving. I do think it might be Kat and Dale.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say there. I hope so. But yeah, I do think Keith and Kathy are certainly going to be one of the 4 that leaves, because 4 people, that's a lot of people. It's weird. It's not just 2 people. It's 2 couples, but it's 4 people. So the other one, I really think it's anyone's game. I do see Spencer and Jess in the final 3.
Yes.
So I think it's going to come down to Dale and Kat or Jeremy and Bailey. Either one that goes, good riddance from me. That is all of your Bachelor in Paradise breakdown for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching, and I'm sure Sam does too. I'll say we thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching. I had a blast.
Me too. I've been really enjoying this. This is so much fun.
It really is. And this idea kind of came out of nowhere. We just kind of thought, hey, how about we try it out? 2 people tonight. This is a show about couples. And I thought, hey, how about we come on here and give our couples expertise? And I had a good time.
Me too.
I hope you did too.
I had a lot of fun.
You did?
Yeah. I love talking with you about these kind of shows in general.
This is generally what it's like off camera with us as well. We spend 90% of our time talking. No, I'm joking. We spend a lot of our time talking about TV. We both fell in love over our shared love of Big Brother to start with, and watching TV shows together it's one of my favorite things to do. And, just to be able to bring our conversation on here is a lot of fun. So same time next week, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we shaking hands? This feels... that's more. There we go. That's more romantic, but yeah, we're going to be both here next week. And thank you so much for joining me, Sam. I appreciate everyone for watching. We appreciate everyone. We appreciate everyone for watching. Something just fell out of my pocket, but I will see you next week, folks. I hope that you're all staying safe, staying positive, and staying healthy out there. And remember to be kind to one another. But in the meantime, please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of that wonderful stuff. But until you're next, we've been your hosts, Tom and Sam VASEY. Good night.